Okay, so again, we're going to continue our talk on chain rule. Notice we have this graph right here. We saw this yesterday from the notes. Again, we call these analytic derivatives. And just a way for the AP to tell us, do you not take a derivative? Can you read a graph? Do you know all the parts and everything? So this is kind of a big deal for us right here. So we want to use the graph of f and g to find the following if they exist. Now the first one, take a look here. This is just a straight up product rule. We saw one like this yesterday, so if I want to take the derivative, we get h prime of x equals the first times the derivative of the second plus the second function g of x times the derivative of the first. Whoops, this should be f prime of x. And then I'm going to plug in my 1, h prime of 1, f of 1 times g prime of 1 plus g of 1 times f prime of 1. I'm going to show my work. And the reason why I want to show this is I like my teacher and I want to get all the credit. So you always show work. My students always ask, Mr. Wernow, do we have to show this? And the answer should be a yes, okay? Show your work. Don't be afraid to show work. You cannot get a maximum score if you're looking for a minimum amount of work. Now, if I'm looking for f of 1, remember this is a value. So at 1, I look for the value. It's up 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to multiply that by the slope of g at 1. So here's g. It's the darker, it's the more bolded one. It looks to have a slope of -1. Plus, now I'm looking for the value of g at 1, which is also, by the way, just 3. And the slope of g at 1. Now the slope of, sorry, not the slope of g, but the slope of f. Sorry about that. The slope of f at 1, it looks to be about a slope of 2. And that's going to give me -3 plus 6, which is 3. And there's our slope. There's our derivative value. Very easy to do these. Number B, letter B, is just our quotient rule. So we take our derivative, k prime of x, low, d high, minus, hey, high, d low, all over, low. I always found that funny. Someday when you're older, I'll tell you about the town of Lolo, Montana in history. That's, okay. So now I'm going to plug in my 6's, k prime of 6. We're looking at g of 6. Again, I'm going to write down all my work, times f prime of 6 minus f of 6, g prime of 6, what up, g? And g of 6 squared. Whoops, that's a weird looking 6. There we go. All right. I kind of zoomed in too much. You can't see the graph anymore. Up, other way. There we go. So looking at g of 6, so let's count out to 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're looking at here. Let's see here. G of 6 is up 1, 2. It's at 2. So I'm also going to put that on the bottom. I might as well go ahead and do that. So that's going to become 2 squared on bottom. F prime of 6, that's the slope of the lighter one. And looks like the slope of -1/2. So -1/2 minus f of 6, which is this 2, 3, 4, which is at 4. G prime of 6, the slope of 6, which it looks to be at -2, down 2 over 1. So -2. And I can simplify this. This is -1 plus 8 over 4, or 7/4. And there's our slope right there. All right, for part C, this is our chain rule. There's our chain rule. We have our outside function, and we have our inside function. So we take the derivative. P prime of x becomes f prime of g of x times g prime of x. The derivative of the outside, d out, d in. And remember, now we're going to replace all the x's with 6. So we get f prime of g of 6 times g prime of 6. Now take a look. We need the slope and we need the value of g right there. So let's go ahead and do this. This becomes f prime. Ready? Let's find the value of g at 6. So let's see here. Where's 6? Let's count over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The value of g is at 2. So that's going to go in here. 2. The slope of g at 6 is -2. I'm not done yet because I still need the slope of f at 2. So I count that. Here's f. It's down 1 over 2. So the slope of f at 2 is -1/2 times -2, and we get 1. And there's our value right there. So let's try t of x. There's my out, and there's my in. So when we take the derivative, t prime of x becomes g prime of f of x times f prime of x. And we're looking at 7. T prime of 7. Notice I am showing all of my work, not because I'm a nerd or anything like that. I am, don't get me wrong. But because I want to get the answer right. AP will give you credit if you're showing your work. If you get the answer wrong with no work, you get 0 credit. But you show me the derivative, you make an arithmetic mistake, you might still get full credit for it. Alright, so let's take here, we want the value at 7, and we want the slope of f at 7. So we get g prime. Let's go find the value of f at 7. So there's 6. So there's 7. That's what we're looking for. The value, nasty. Okay. 1, 2, 3.5. So the value looks to be about 3.5. That's pretty nasty. 3.5. And then the slope at 7, let's go back up here, it's still down 1 over 2. So it's -0.5. Now I want to find the value of g at 3.5. So here's g, 3.5, 1, 2, 3.5. If I go up, what is the slope here? Well, it looks to be it's up 1, 2 over 1, 2, 3. So the slope there looks to be at 2/3. Remember for g, that's my bolded function. Remember we wanted to find the slope of g at 3.5. Here we are, 1, 2, 3.5. The slope there is up 1, 2 over 1, 2, 3. So it looks to be 2/3. So we're going to get 2/3 times -0.5, which is -1/3. And there we go. Now, if you would have done Mr. Word, now can I have done the -2.6? Yes, I would accept that. All right, so there's our video. There's our notes for the day. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.